City's resurgence of three back-to-back wins are beginning to breathe just a little close to Arsenal's nose in the Premier League title race. But that won't be the case this weekend when the FA Cup comes back to your screens. Of course, on MaxBet, we'll be doing justice as usual. www.maxbet.ng is our friends who are very well our sponsors. On the program today, we're talking about the FA Cup games coming through, where we have some of the top games that will be coming to your screen with the likes of City, Chelsea, Liverpool, and Arsenal, some of the top teams who will be involved in the FA Cup this weekend. We all know what time it is in the season. It's that time when things begin to take shape because starting from Friday down to Saturday and Sunday, it will be amazingly FA Cup affairs. When we talk about FA Cup, it's always interesting to talk about. Reason being that we all know that it is one of the oldest football competition in the world. And what can we do if not to just take time and talk about all the road that leads to Wembley when we'll be getting to the closing stages of this competition. My name is Oji Offer Dublin, as usual. Welcome to Sports Preview on Buwa Community Voice. I'll be flanked with gentlemen and lady who will be aiding with a superb analysis as regards to the FA Cup games coming through this weekend. On today's episode, we're looking at the FA Cup games. I have with me Bonfrey Joe and Shinwendo alongside CISO. What you're going to do now to make sure we'll just take you into the games and give you those valid points that will help you make those informed decisions. Looking for choose well, make everywhere for green. Because I don't say one team when they say we will fight for the green. And to fight for the green, and to make sure say you go to the right place. Don't forget that the program is sponsored by MaxBet. It's www.maxbet.ng. So, big one on this one. Let's start with the league leaders. Yes, league leaders should have a priority as it seems to be talked about at the Emirates Stadium in London, where Robinson will be at the centre of the pack. Arsenal will host Wigan Athletic in an interesting encounter that promises to be exciting. We must look at Arsenal winning their last 4 games in the Champions League, the Premier League, in the EFL Cup against Chelsea, and beating Sunderland 3-0. But then Wigan, they've not been having it funny, losing in the last 4, drawing ones. But let's look at what you all feel. Arsenal are looking to do a quadruple. In fact, a lot of persons believe that they are well placed in the Champions League. They are in the final of the Carabao Cup. Wigan Athletic shouldn't be a stumbling block in the FA Cup, and then the Premier League. 6 points clear at the moment. In fact, City have cut it down on 3, and we expect to see a response from the Arsenal point of view. So let's just take a deep dive into this game and see what we expect.
I think that you don't write down the Wigan Athletic team. After all, we saw what happened to Manchester United. Their championship team came all the way and knocked them out of the Carabao Cup, and you also saw what happened in the FA Cup. So you cannot write down the Wigan Athletics because that championship itself, if it was so easy, teams like Coventry, who have been with Frank Lampard, would have been promoted to the Premier League. That's to tell you that it's a difficult league, also not as easy as we think. So, playing against a Wigan Athletic team who have also been in the Premier League, you understand the Premier League kind of football. Maybe you will say they are not as strong as it used to be to work on the back for Arsenal. But I see a fight. I see a Wigan Athletic coming in to trouble Arsenal. But eventually, we all know a leader is a leader, someone who can dominate and will always dominate. And I think Arsenal is in that league right now, dominating everywhere, and it's possible they can get 4 trophies this season they play the part well.
If they play their part well, four trophies could be in the cabinet for Arsenal, and a lot more. I feel like the most celebrated of them all could be the English Premier League trophy.
Rather, I would say the Champions League.
Or maybe the Champions League.
Because that's their main thing. They've won the Premier League,
Yeah.
they've not won the Champions
Very
League.
well. They've never tested the UEFA Champions League.
They've not.
But I feel like they should feel like the Premier League is way closer now than the Champions League can be, with just somewhere around 12 games left to play in the English Premier League. Let's look at Athletic and Arsenal. The last time they faced off in the FA Cup, it was Arsenal who came out victorious 2-1 in that fixture. Obviously, anytime any game you're going to move for Arsenal, are you confident about this one?
I'm confident about this one because considering the fact that presently Wigan has gone 6 matches without a win. 6 matches in their last 6 games without a win. That's it's as in the worst they have been. And playing an Arsenal team with this kind of form, even with the team, the Arsenal team B, it's sure that this game is a win for Arsenal.
Okay, so it looks like Arsenal is very comfortable to get a win. I see as a where there's a lot of sentiment.
Just like you said, Wigan having lost most of their matches, straight up, I feel like it is not going to be that particular walk in the back, just like you said, in favor of. Sorry, that wasn't what you said. You said Wigan was going to give Arsenal a run for their money. Yeah, it wasn't going to be like that. You get, because Arsenal and Arteta, we know, will not even play that match with Arsenal's first team. They will play with the second team, and then the second team will trash them at this particular point. I'm confidently saying that because we know Arsenal would want to capitalize. Arsenal needs a quadruple at this point, by all means. Any loss, no matter how small, it generates some certain confidence. So I think at this particular point, Arsenal is going to have a straight one. He's happy because everybody is saying Arsenal.
Okay, Arsenal is looking like the team, but we all know that Kai Havertz linked of injured, that we're hearing news that he could be out for some weeks, if not months. So we'll give you an update about Kai in the coming days. But let's just switch over to look at Arne Slot's rejuvenated Liverpool side. He said rejuvenated, but there is 2 wins, 3 wins, 2 wins sandwiching another. That is, if not for what happened where Liverpool lost to City, who came back to win that one. That was on the 8th of February in 2026. We saw what happened. But then a battle between Liverpool and Brighton in the FA Cup, it's one that will be interesting to look out, because when you are in this round of 16 of the FA Cup and you're facing a Premier League team, anytime, any day is a banana peel game where you know that you have to look well before you leap, and in that situation, anything can happen. But here we have a Brighton side that have failed to win in their last 5. That is not a good update. Losing 3 and drawing 2 of those. We've seen a more organized Liverpool team. In fact, if you watched Liverpool play on Wednesday, you can speak more about how they're beginning to give a fight. In fact, they are the first team to beat Sunderland in the Stadium of Light this season. And that is what it takes to say, look, we are back where we belong. It could have taken the Virgil van Dijk goal to make that difference, but it was worth it. 3 points in the bag and a win for the first team to do it in the Stadium of Light against Sunderland. And we just have somewhere around 12 games to go for the Premier League season. So let's look at, is it a game where I feel like the Premier League is looking lost for the champions, Liverpool, or probably they could just have a go at the FA Cup to say, look, we can get there both.
Yeah, I think Liverpool style, and the Slot has this, I would say, a shine of luck along the way for him, because anytime you see him being threatened or being fired, you understand, he fires back his team to get something out of the box from him, because his win in the Premier League about the last match he played in the Premier League, that one goal win is a plus for him, because that determined his lifeline as a coach for Liverpool. It was defining his lifeline. So, but he got a win there. So it's a plus for him. I'm playing against a Premier League side in this FA Cup. it's another tax they need to. And the team is not just anyhow team. Brighton may be having a bad day this time around, but considering the fact that Brighton, when if they come in form, they can do damages to anything that comes their way. So I think and Slot and his team will need to, as in, work harder to stay in this FA Cup.
Okay, work very hard to stay in the FA Cup. We saw Brighton, that was on the 19th of May 2025, beating Liverpool 3-2. One of the most recent very fair result that Brighton have gotten. And it's not far off. It's just last year in the Premier League game. Although we saw in the reverse fixture Liverpool coming back 2-0 to demolish them. Do you see any chance for Brighton to go through?
I mean, because that game will be played in Anfield, and for me, Anfield is no longer a sacred ground. You're seeing teams that you don't expect to come to. And as a matter of fact, it took Pep Guardiola 10 years to actually conquer Anfield. That's to tell you it's no longer under and Slot. A lot of things have been happening out there. That's sacred ground of Anfield. That's atmosphere when you're playing in Anfield. There's this fear that comes with it. It's no longer there. So a Brighton side, they know how to look for trouble. That's the way I see them. For the past 4 seasons, I always look at them as this team that always go to the big boys ground and try to look for something to come out of it. So Brighton, I think this is also the time that Brighton will have to prove themselves. I mean, they don't have any place for a trophy. Not even Premier League, they don't have a place at the Premier League. They're not in the Champions League. There's a lot of things that this is the only place all this kind of team like the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. And I think they want to get something out of it. But at the same time, and it's not you also want to get something for Liverpool. I mean, you can't say Liverpool will win the Champions League. It would be a huge miracle if Liverpool wins the Champions League, considering the kind of squad they have and the kind of coach they have right now. So Champions League is out, Premier League is out. I think the FA Cup, they have a chance.
Okay, maybe a chance at the FA Cup if Arne Slot gives it all of the run. We've seen Liverpool in recent weeks looking like we can do it. Do you think Brighton will come like a stumbling block?
I used to call a certain Chelsea coach the gambler. I feel like Slot at this point equally fits into that particular position. It's dicey. They did well, quite all right. They look like they are coming back bigger and better, quite all right. That's good. But then Brighton, just like she said, is not a club you really want to look away to and even bring anything close to your second 11. At this particular point, Brighton will make sure to frustrate Liverpool. That I'm seeing with every single thing.
They have what it takes.
Yeah, you never can underestimate. You understand? At this point, Brighton comes in strong when they are facing some persons who you feel should have given them, a run for their money, something like that. So at this point, I think for Liverpool to be able to conquer Brighton, they have to come prepared. I see a fixed match there. By fixed match, I see a draw at the end of the full 90 minutes.
And of course, we all know what could happen if by any chance it gets into the penalties where it could be anyone's game. We all know it's not over. Some of the bigger boys, if we will talk about Liverpool and Arsenal getting a goal in winning the FA Cup, there is a certain Pep Guardiola and his Manchester City side who are still very much involved in the FA Cup. And this time they are getting one of the easiest fixture of the FA Cup, going to host Salford at the Etihad. In fact, we all know, looking at Salford form-wise, they are not very bad. They've got 10 wins in the last 5, losing 2. And I can tell you that those 2 that they've lost is just by 1 goal difference. That's losing 1 goal to nothing to Accrington and losing 1 goal to nothing to Chesterfield, even though at home. But we all know what can happen. If a team played in League 2, it can't come any easy. But look at them beating Swindon Town 3-2 in the FA Cup, and that could tell you about where the team wants to see themselves. But in the head-to-head between these 2, Manchester City did beat them it goes to nothing in 2025. That was just on the 11th of January in 2025, and that 8 goes to Nottingham of Salford can tell you just about anything that you want to know about a fixture like this one. I feel like with the City that I saw um, on Wednesday up against Fulham, first half well executed. In fact, City they've won all of their first halves this season in the Premier League, apart from 2, and that is what it takes to see from the get-go the strike. Scoring 3 against Fulham in the first 45 is just a way to say, look, we are not your mates here. I will say that face oppositions in the FA Cup. We saw how it went for some teams in the FA Cup. I mean, Exeter was one of the teams that they played that ended 10-1. And I feel like if you're going to compare Exeter with this Salford side, so we might be looking to get a similar result in the region.
I think for me it's done and dusted. I get
Some of the games you can win in the dressing room.
I mean, a whole lot of fans will come out to say that Manchester City used to get a fair team when they are playing in the FA Cup, even in the Carabao Cup. It's looking like it's easy, and I think somehow I get to agree with them. Not they are doing anyway. Just feel that it's coincidental.
Just like Cameroon and Brazil always been the same group.
It's just a coincidental. It's coincidental that it happened. So I will always say that Manchester City take it easy for them. I think they will even have to go and bring the academic players, but we have all seen that it doesn't work, and it's not tried bringing his academic players, and we were beaten. So I know one thing about Pep Guardiola: every trophy matters to him. He uses his best team to play
especially now that he's not sure about even the
Premier League and even the Champions. So you wants to win something. The Carabao Cup is going to be a fight, and then the FA Cup, of course, he has stand a chance to win. Knowing full well, last season he could have won the FA Cup, but it didn't go through. So I think he will bring out his best team to play against Salford. But it's all. I'm giving it to
all Man City is having there for you.
Exactly how I see it, because Manchester City, just like you said, is eager to be able to do something. But then let's equally check it from the other hand. There is this thing about this English football, whether you're in the Championship, you're in the Premier League, or even outside. Sometimes it just doesn't go by the books, right? So I see a Manchester City that actually won the Fulham, but if I were to really judge by that match, they didn't play well. They won quite alright, but Fulham, to me, judging from what I saw because I watched the match, Fulham to me played well, and Fulham held them. They scored the last minute goal, and that was what usually helped them to be able to excel to the next one. I feel Manchester City at this particular point needs to come out all grounded to be able to convert that particular opportunity. Now, when it has to do with this match, because just like I said, anything could be able to happen. Things is no longer by this is how it used to be before. Some of this person, just like once mentioned one time, has sat down to study the coaching pattern, how these people work, how these people navigate their things, to be able to find a way to challenge them. Some of the times it just doesn't work like that. Manchester City gets the glory of the day, quite alright. But then I feel like it's not going to be a walkover. I don't see at this point any competition within the English soil as a walkover for any club.
So you don't think we'll have an embarrassing result from that fixture? So do you actually agree? How do you look at this fixture? City going head to head with a team in that capacity of Salford?
I think Salford has presently they sit on the 6th position on their table. In their division in their League 2, they sit on the 6th position, comfortably with 50 points in the League
2 looks like
you're not even playing the Championship.
Yeah, like in the League 2, it feels like you can be
NLO, just like Nigeria playing NLO.
You can be baking bread.
Yes, baking bread.
You can be a bread.
But this was the same. See, a team from this same team had to beat a Manchester United team out of this. Yeah. So, what is in England? No team is a small team. City won them 8-0 in their last meeting.
The last time we met.
That's the first time they met City, and City won them 8-0. These people may come back and say, it won't be this rosy. You may get a win, but it won't be this
fine for you.
Yes,
But why do I think like it's going to be very easy?
It's going
it's going to be easy for.
I feel like it will.
Semenyo will get an hat-trick.
Semenyo will want to see.
So
What do you know about
recently, most of those matches we always think has always been a walkover. End up.
being a
No.
This one
They have to-
like
see?
this is
Except we are well beaten 10-1 by City. In fact, from the get-go of the whistle,
everybody
See,
and I'm talking about games where they played away from home. And if you go to the Etihad, in fact, as a League 2 team, the blood gets frozen in your vein. I say it often. But let's see what happens. Let's not dwell so much time on it. Let's look at Hull City, who stays at home to welcome Chelsea. We've seen a very strong Hull City side, winning 3 in a row before getting a draw against Hull City 0-0 and losing by a slight margin to Bristol the last time out. Chelsea are as inconsistent as anything that you can imagine. In fact, we felt all of that faced the way with Enzo Maresca. But we saw them draw 2-2 with Leeds United. That was on Tuesday. A very disappointing outcome for a team that went 2-0 up in the fixture, played at Stamford Bridge. So you begin to wonder, when would they ever get to that place where they'll say, look, we are back to a top team that facing Leeds shouldn't be a contention of if we can lose. And if we can get a goal, we can defend the ball. All of that apart, Hull City, I smell fire. I smell fish. I see banana peels. I feel like a lot of danger. The match is screaming red flag.
But I don't think so. 2000
And away from home, we must acknowledge. Away from home.
2017 dates, Hull City has not been able to get a win against Chelsea. After playing 13 matches, they've not seen a win. Chelsea has won 11 times and 2 draws. So what are you saying? This is a Chelsea side. Quite alright, they come today like Nigerian NEPA. You come today, tomorrow you are not there. You understand? But a Chelsea side can do harm to Hull City anytime, any day.
But
that is actually.
I want to also point out something for you guys.
Yeah.
And the last time these two teams went head to head in all of your analysis was in 2020. And that's some 6 years ago. Do you want us to call managers who've been at the helm at Chelsea from 2020? So, they've never been able to get against who? They're going to face a Renzo Noah, who is going to play in his first FA Cup. In fact, in his first league game that we saw against Arsenal Carabao, he was beaten. And if he doesn't get the mindset of how to execute the Premier League games, the Champions League games, the league game, like I said, I'm smelling banana peels. Come to it.
I feel just like you said, that Chelsea and Hull City has never really been an issue. Yes, it probably might have been quite a while, but then Chelsea has this momentum right now that we get to finish, and the finishings always come out good. The issue now has always been trying to defend this solution, because we started with the 2-0 win, and then we ended up with a draw. That was very embarrassing. But then again, Chelsea with or against Hull City, to me, this is not based on sentiment. I feel like it's a walk because Hull City will come game on, but then Chelsea with that midfield and the finishing will be able to say a lot within the first half, even before the second half starts. I could be able to say that for one, and I think probably that match day I will call to be able to remind you all about how this thing is. Yes.
Okay.
I think for me, it should be a walk in the park for Chelsea. But when you are playing against a All City side who understands the Premier League, I mean, we know what All City used to do in the Premier League when they were in the Premier League, and so you will not write them off. This time is where you will now want to see what the rest of them have in stock for Chelsea. But I know that also will be coming with a fight, trying to prove a point. But Chelsea have the players to execute that game. They have the players, they have the squad to do it. But will they win against Hull City? Is the same story or the same question I'll be asking everybody. But if they have the players to do the job, I think they do.
Of course, Chelsea is a a very good team with a very large squad. You must always point that out. If they can go first, second, and third, 11. In fact, one of the reasons why managers are struggling is because you must rotate. Because in some of those players' contracts, they must play when they are fit. And we've seen all of those rotations and substitutions, and even game collapse after major substitutions. But this was part of the reason why Pep said he needs a leader squad to work with, because it can be very, very strenuous to try to satisfy everyone. Just like on Wednesday, we saw Pep substitute Ellen Haaland when he's told the team that he wasn't feeling comfortable. He was just substituted it, and Mamouche came in, and it would feel like Haaland is not there. And that's what it takes to have a very last squad. But on the program, this is the point where we will have to wrap it all up. I think we have to take a little break on predictions so we can come good on predictions, because predictions have been terrible most recently. And that must be said. Don't forget that the program is proudly sponsored by our friends at MindSplit. Yes, it's www.mindsplit.ng. Amazing bonuses there for you to grab, and you can check things out yourself. I must thank you very well, both for being a part of this one. And thank you so much, Chiwedu. Thank you, CI. I wish you all the teams involved, especially the Premier League teams, all the best. I love to see upsets, but sometimes I feel like there should be a reward for the big money spent. There should be a reward for all of the hard works that happen from this big team. So I'm wishing them all of the luck and to see very, very tight fixtures when we get to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup. My name is W. Say